Hi, everyone, and welcome. My name is Brondum. I'll be your host for today's interview. I'm excited to be joined by David Jonas, owner of Universal Controls Solutions, who's here to talk about why Neeve is their platform of choice. David, thank you for taking your time to join me today. Let's get started. To kick things off, can you tell us a little bit about your company and your industry background?
So I've been in the HVAC industry for going on 30 years and had the benefit of getting into building automation right around 2000 and worked as a control service tech and controls installer, which gave me a broad knowledge of multiple systems and different platforms. And then worked my way into management. So got to project manage for a couple of large firms. And after doing that for several years, I decided I wanted to start my own company. So, because of the background and the people that we have on our team, we decided to name the company Universal Controls because typically there isn't a system we can't work on. We have a very broad knowledge of a lot of different platforms.
Cool. Well, with you being in the industry as long as you have been, I'm sure you've learned a lot of good things of how to do things right and a lot of things on how to do things wrong. So, at UCS, with this new company that you've launched in recent years, what would you say are some of the biggest pain points you've seen in deploying, the traditional method of BMS that you did at your previous companies that you guys are doing different now?
So there was a time when building automation contractors would take a web browser, whatever it might be, a JACE or an ECY controller, whatever, and just stick it out on the web unprotected and just give it a public IP. Um, and the days of exposing a building to those kinds of risks are gone. We live in a world where people are constantly trying to expose vulnerabilities and access people's data. And a way in is always building automation. We have to be very cognizant of what we're allowing in and out of our customer side. So I would say the last company I worked for was pretty good about that. They still had some sites exposed. But when we started Universal Control, that was from day one, it was something that we, as a team, me and my developers, we decided we were not going to expose anybody's billing automation system directly to the web. It was going to go through a secure portal of some type so that we could protect ourselves as a company. That's a risk for us and also protect our clients.
Great. That's great. Also, it's very fortunate to kind of have a fresh start that you don't have all this legacy stuff in the background. So, really, why Neve? Now, I'm sure you kicked the tires on multiple solutions. So, what stood out most about Neve to really make you consider it seriously?
We were using another platform for our security needs, and we occasionally use it now. But we were introduced to Neeve, and I've got some very high level team members in my development pool, and they like interrogated Neve, like, what is it? And very quickly they're like, hey, we need to try and use this, right? So we deployed a couple of projects, and with a different platform, we were trying to do cloud to cloud communication for an analytics product that we use, Code Labs. And with another product, we had to create an IPsec tunnel, not to get too technical, but we had to create a bridge between one cloud to the other to pass that data. And with the other platform, it took 6 months and a lot of labor from our team that we hadn't budgeted. Um, the other side of that is we worked with Neeve to do it on a site, the same exact process, just with the Neeve product and our hardware. And it was done in 4 weeks. Neeve did all the heavy lifting. Our first sites that we deployed, Neeve showed up on site with us and helped us get those sites up and running and helped our developers figure out what the best practices were. So that's one instance. The other is just the flexibility that Neeve has with add-ons and different processes within their secure edge or different products. My team's like, hey, if we want to do this, we can go to Neeve, and you guys are very nimble and allow us a lot of flexibility for different things we want to try and do.
Yeah, as a former system integrator myself, I'm always when I'm talking to system integrators, I stress the fact that Neve is designed for system integrators. You don't need to be a network engineer to utilize it, and it's great to hear that that's actually the case and what you guys are experiencing. You shared a little bit about the feedback you got from your techs that have deployed it, and is there additional feedback you'd love to double click on and share some more? And also, have you shared it with your customers, and have your customers given you any feedback on it?
Yeah, those are great questions. So very quickly, like I said, we were using some other products, and very quickly, everybody in the development team was like, "Hey, this is the route we need to go." It's kind of start switching everything to Neve. It's easier to deploy. We have better support. Yeah, it's unanimous. And even, we were still using another product because it had a little different price point and pricing structure. And Neve actually stepped up and helped with that. And we got competitive with a different product, allowing us to still do some of the DHCP stuff that we're doing. So that was, we used a SiteLink 15, which was it's a great fit in for some of our smaller projects. And then customer wise, I did actually have a customer that had another security tool. They wanted to move it away from another vendor to us, and basically told them there's no way, and they wouldn't really work with us to make that change. So we talked to the client. The other thing is there are some other software pieces that are needed, to hoops to jump through. We can basically give our customer a client with Neeve, and they can get into their system. There's some streamlining of the access that the customers have. So we have a customer that's going to switch product lines. They're going to switch from another security product to Neeve because of these things.
That's great to hear. You talked about pricing, and both of us being in the space for a long time, we've seen the software world go to software as a service or subscription-based pricing. It's starting to inch its way into the system integrator world. What are your thoughts on that? And what do you think some of the challenges are? Are you against it? Do you see the benefit of it? Always looking for people's feedback on that.
So when I first was introduced to Neve, I was like, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to sell this because, you know, the, a lot of the competitors are one time, one and done, buy the hardware. What I quickly realized is because of that other model, the support is not there. Right. And that was something else. I can talk, the team was like, hey man, these Neve is, like, if they see any kind of a patch that they need to build or a product that would be helpful, they're ahead of the curve on it, forward thinking. The other product only gave us 16 IPsec tunnels max. We have a bunch of customers that want this IPsec tunnel to be able to connect to an analytics platform. Even as forward thinking, got us 2,000 connections. So the price, yes, that's always a factor. But I think if you explain the benefits to the customer, and if you're building good relationships, yeah, it's not. We haven't had a hard time selling it, and the customers have adopted it, and they like it. So yeah,
Great.
and then also Neve worked with us. Like I said, instead of doing a 3-year or longer term, we worked out a deal for a 2-year subscription for our construction projects. So we get through installation and then warranty. Then if the customer doesn't want to renew, we move on.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Well, you as an owner of a business, knowing that you're prioritizing cybersecurity for all of your installations, does that help you sleep better at night?
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't want to think about the liability that'd be hanging over my head just having. And we get into some really uh, high-end sites, right? That would be a gold mine for nefarious people out there trying to get into systems. And yeah, not having that security layer stressing me out, to say the least.
Great. That's great. Glad we could help with that. So looking ahead to the future, what trends do you see shaping the future for building controls? And, what is UCS's vision for the future?
We're seeing more and more people go to cloud-based enterprise servers with local hardware. And that's something else that Neve offers is, cloud-based solutions for cloud servers or even edge devices with Niagara instances. And then improve on because we can put the Neve device in with a Niagara instance and pull local hardware into it. And we don't have to add a date or we don't have to add, a piece of Niagara hardware. So I would say that's something that we're seeing it into cloud-based supervisor and servers that everything's talking back to. And that allows that cloud to cloud communication too with other assets that are out in the Internet of Things like Code Lab.
Yeah. You are you the ones proposing the cloud instances for their BMS, or is it the customer coming to you and you're having to react to the requests from them?
We've had both. We've had both. So we've had customers come to us and say, we no longer want to use our on-prem servers because it's IT. The IT people are constantly doing maintenance on them. It's taking down our whole BMS. We want a separate OT layer with a cloud-based solution so that we take that off of our IT team's plate and they're not affecting our building operation. So we've had those requests, and then we're also proposing it. Hey, this might be a solution for you. These are the benefits, and the same thing I just mentioned is we'll manage it. Your IT people don't have to touch it, and then you're not having unexpected outages because they're doing maintenance on their system. So
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a lot more push for it in the industry, but not necessarily from the facilities team, but from the IT teams that are ultimately responsible for the OT that's in the buildings. One thing we always get pushback on is really from the building engineers is you can't take the server out of the building because the controls are going to stop working. And if you really
right.
think about it, that shouldn't be the case, right?
No, no, not at all. As long as you have that clear connectivity and in our field level devices, we always build redundancy and fail safes. So if there, God forbid, there's some kind of a network disconnect, everything continues to run locally and does what it's supposed to do. But the days of losing connectivity, everything's connected. I mean, that's getting far and fewer between.
Yeah. Well, and the reality of it is if you program the building right, it's not going to shut off. The schedules live locally in the controllers, and if they're defaulting correctly, it's going to default to occupied set points and people are going to stay comfortable in the building.
Yeah, with the backnet controllers that we use, we actually put a local schedule in as a failsafe. And so it'll run its normal. If we did, for whatever reason, lose connection to a cloud server, it would just continue to do its thing until we got that reestablished.
Awesome. So, improved outcomes for UCS. In what ways is Neve helping you improve your position with projects and opportunities that are out there? How's it making a difference for you?
So being nimble on pricing and helping us navigate customer concerns with that. Um, yeah, just adding the ability to add different plugins onto your edge devices so that we can meet the needs different. Like we said, some want a Niagara instance in the Neeve device, some need DHCP servers. I know my dev team could think of other things that they like about it, but that's the main thing.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I've always dreaded, and I think most system integrators dread the meeting with the IT team. And here at Neve, I've sat at the table with our channel partners and system integrators like yourselves with big enterprise IT teams. And my experience with it has been very positive with the resources that we provide. I'm curious what your thoughts are. Have you sat across the table with these customers' IT teams now that you're presenting the Neve solution and how that's been a differentiator for you?
Yeah, that's actually that's another thing that you guys take off of our plate. With other platforms, that's usually one of my senior developers sitting down with the IT and going through documentation. But with me, we basically connect you with their IT staff and you guys are having the conversation with them. And then basically we get an email, yep, this looks good. You're good to go and deploy. Anytime that a vendor can help take labor costs off of our plate, that's a benefit to UCS. So that's a huge benefit.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few times where we've shared our trust center ahead of meetings and we show up to the meeting ready for the hard questions. And I think on multiple occasions I've heard from the IT people saying, "Where have you been? We've been looking for a solution like this."
Right.
We check. I'd like to think we check all the boxes when it comes to complying with current IT standards, SOC 2 Type 2 compliant, ISO 27001, completely zero trust, role-based remote access is a big differentiator for us.
The zero trust conversation is usually all right, that's okay, we're done. That works. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, any closing thoughts, final takeaways, any advice for maybe your peers out there that are running system integrator business like yourselves? I mean, I don't want to give away your secret sauce.
There's plenty of work for all
Yeah.
of us. I would say if you're using other security products, take a look at Neve, interrogate it like my team did, and you'll see that there is a difference. The support that you get if you enter into some work with them, the support that you get is, yeah, second to none, right? And we're so happy that we were introduced and that we're able to use this product. And we know, like Aaron said, we sleep better at night knowing that our customer sites are secure. That's it.
Awesome. Well, thanks, David. Really appreciate your time. Really appreciate the partnership. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you.